Hello there, fashion designers. You're most welcome to another sewing tutorial with Diamond Clothiers. If this is the first time you're coming across this channel, kindly click on the subscription button. So, in today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make this beautiful jumpsuit with this circle sleeve. Okay, so I'll be starting with the trouser part, and the fabric I'm making use of is an African print fabric. You can see how pretty it is, and I have 4 yards of fabric right here. So I'll be taking our waist to hip measurement first of all, which is 9 inches. Then I added one more into it because it is a jumpsuit and I want it to be really free. So I have waist to hip to be 9 inches, and then from the hip I went downwards for by 3 inches for the crotch line, and the total length of this jumpsuit is going to be 59 inches. Okay, so on this hip line, I'll be taking around hip measurements divided by 4. Then I will add 1 more inch to it as sewing allowance. So on that hip line, I have 12.5 inches right there. And I'm going to take the same measurements on the crotch line and also on the waistline. Then I'm going to connect all these three lines into a straight line, as you can see me doing. So on the crotch line, I'll be taking a crotch depth of 2.5 inches. And how did I get that? I divided a round hip measurement by 4, and what I got, I divided this by 4 again, which gives me 2.5 inches. So on the crotch line, I'm going to input the 2.5 inches, then I'll connect it to the hip line to form a crotch curve. So after that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to measure what I have on the crotch line. And after measuring, I have 15 inches right there. Then I'm going to come down just a little bit below the crotch line and reduce that 15 inches by 1 inch to make it 14 inches. Then right from that point, I'm going to measure that same 14 inches all the way down till I get to the hem of this pant. Then I'm going to connect all these lines together and cut it out. So to take the dart on this waistline from the center fold, I'll be going inwards by 4 inches, which is half of our nipple to nipple measurement. Then I'm going to rule 5.5 inches line downwards for the dart. And on both sides of the dart, I'll be taking half of an inch and connect it together. Okay, so around waist measurement divided by 4 is 9.5 inches plus the 1 inch that I took, making 10.5 plus 1 inch allowance, making 11.5 inches. Then I'm going to mark that and just slant it into the hip line. Then I'm still going to cut it out. I'm going to cut out the little excess that I have, and as well notch the dart line as you can see me doing. So we are done with this front piece, and I'll be using the front piece to cut out the back piece. Okay, so go ahead to cut out a fresh piece of fabric that I'll be using for the back piece. Okay, so make sure that this piece of fabric is larger than what you have on the front. Okay, so mine is around 5 inches wider. So on the waistline, you have to extend the waistline by 2 inches. I'm sorry that was not showing, and you further extend it inward by 2 inches as well. And on the hip line as well, you're going to mark 2 inches. And on the crotch line, for the crotch depth, because you need to allow the ball to sit properly, I'll be making use of 3 inches. This actually depends on how wide the person's butt size is. Okay, so I'll be making use of 3 inches. Then I'm going to connect it to the hip line, to the waistline, and also on the thigh line as well. I'll be working with 2 inches, and I'm going to measure these 2 inches until I get to the full length of this pants. Okay, so go ahead to do that, and when you are done, you can then cut it out. So when you are done cutting, the next thing you have to do is to take your round waist measurement again and you slant it into the waistline. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and because the back is now longer, you have to extend your dart legs upwards. Okay, and when you are done doing that, you notch it as well. So let's work on the upper parts of this jumpsuit and go ahead to cut out a piece of fabric that is actually wider than what you need. Remember, we are cutting directly on the fabric, and it is better if you have excess than to have shortage of fabric. And go ahead to rule out a straight line which you'll be using as the starting line, and on that line, I'll take half of our shoulder to shoulder measurements, which is 8 inches, and then I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Remember, our shoulders are not straight. So for the neck width, I'll be working with 3 inches, and the depth I'm working with for this tutorial is 4 inches. Then with the use of my curve rule, I'm going to connect this into a round neckline. I'll go ahead to connect the shoulder slope of 1 inch to the neck width, and from that shoulder slope I'll take in around armhole measurement. So from that shoulder slope I'll be coming down by 7.5 inches. How do I get this? You have to divide your round bust measurements divided by 6, then you add 1.5 inches to it. Okay, so whatever you have, remember, you go ahead to take that measurement and rule it into a straight line just like I have done, and on that straight line you divide that measurement again by 2, and you take note of that too. So on that point you go outwards by half of an inch. Okay, then you connect it to form a round armhole. After that is done, you go back to the shoulder line, then you take a shoulder to bust measurement, and what I have right here is 11 inches. Then I connect it into a straight line, and then straight from the shoulder line I'm going to be taking a shoulder to under bust line, which is 14 inches. I'm going to roll that into a straight line as well. Then I'll take a shoulder to waistline, which is 16 inches. Then I will add one more inch to it to make joining allowance, which gives me 17 inches. So on the center of the waistline, I will be coming in by half of a nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. Then I will connect it upwards to the bust line. So from the bust line, I came down by 1 inch actually, and on both sides of the dart, I'll be taking half of an inch. Then I'm going to connect it together, as you can see me doing. So on the bust line, you take your round bust measurements divided by 4 plus your desired sewing allowance. So what I'm working with is 9.5 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Then you connect it to the armhole line that we drew earlier. So on the waistline as well, I'll take a round waist measurement divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches, and I'm still going to add 2 inches for the sewing allowance and 1 inch that we use for the dart intake. Okay, everything sums up to be 12.5 inches. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust line, as you can see me doing. So we are literally done with the upper part. So I'm going to cut through, and after I'm cutting, I'm going to cut a fresh piece of fabric that I'll be using for the back. So this back is going to be wider because of the zipper allowance, and I have 2 inches zipper allowance right here, so I'll go ahead to cut it open. The only difference between the front piece and the back piece is the zipper allowance and also the neckline. So for the neck width of the back is going to be 1.5 inches. I'll measure that and I'm going to connect it into a straight line. And after I'm done, I'm just going to trace the shoulder, the armhole, the side, and the waist as well. So on the zipper allowance line, I'll be taking a zipper bulge of 1 inch. So if you don't know how to do that, kindly pay attention. So at the center of the back piece, you are going to be going inwards by 1 inch, and when you mark that 1 inch, then you are just going to connect it straight upwards with your ruler. Just look at what I am doing, and this is done to avoid your zipper from bulging. So when you are done, you cut it out. So after cutting, this is what I have, and I've gone ahead to cut out a lining piece for both the front and the back. So when you are done, you are going to place the lining on the actual fabric. Then you take it to your sewing machine to join the neckline and the side. You do the same thing for the two piece of the back as well. Lay your lining on it and take it to your sewing machine to join the neckline, the zipper allowance, and the side. Just leave the armhole and the waist. So after I was done, this is what I have for both the front piece and the back piece, and I've gone ahead to take in the dart as well. So the next thing I'll be doing is to join the shoulder. So what you're going to do is to flip one side of the fabric and use the other side, it can be the lining side or the main fabric, to wrap it, and then you take it to your sewing machine to sew. So you do the same thing for the other shoulder as well. You take one piece of the fabric and then you wrap it around it neatly, please. It has to be very neat. Then you take it to your sewing machine to join. And then for the side as well, you take your body measurements, your round bust measurements, your round waist measurements, and you take it to your sewing machine to join. So right now I'll be working on the sleeve. So the fabric that I have there is on the fold of four, and I have four of these, making four pieces like that. So which means that on a fold I have eight folds right here. So from the center of the fold, what I'm going to do is to come downwards by 11 inches. Then I'm going to measure 11 inches all around, just the way we make our circles, just like we make our flare rather. So you mark 11 inches from that center fold, you mark 11 inches all round into a circle, and then you cut it out. So after cutting it, you open it up and you should have it looking this way. You know, this is on a fold of two right now. So I have two pieces right here, which is for both the front and the back. So from one edge, you measure 11 inches, and from the other edge, you measure 4 inches. So at the distance between the 11 and 4 inches, just place your tape the way I just did and input your round armhole measurement. Ours is actually 7.5 inches, but I'm making use of 10 inches because I want it to have a little pleat right there. So you can decide to extend it. This is based on your preference. So whatever you have, you rule it out and you just cut it out, just as I have done. And this is what the sleeve is looking like after I have gone ahead to cut out the lining and also to sew it all around, leaving the circle without being sewn. Okay, so to place it, you are going to be taking the longer parts of that sleeve, the place that is longer, you are going to be attaching it to the center of the shoulder, to that joining that we have on the shoulder. Okay, so after you have done that, you are going to pin it, and the other edge, the shorter part, you are going to be taking it towards the side. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm sorry my camera was not capturing it properly. Okay, so the longer part, you take it on the shoulder line. Okay, and then you take it to your sewing machine to sew it all around. You do the same thing for the other sleeve as well. So for the pants, go ahead to join the center front and the center back, and go ahead to take the dart as well. Back to the top, this is what we have after joining the sleeve. So I'm going to be placing this aside. And for the trouser, I'm gonna ahead to join the center front and the center back, including the dart. So for the pants, the next thing we have to do right here is to join the side. On the norms, the front is always shorter than the back, so you drag it and make sure that both side aligns and join both side of the pants. And also for the inseam as well, you join the inside of the pants. This is what the pants now looks like after joining. So I'm gonna head to open the center back for our zipper allowance. You can go down by 6 to 7 inches. That actually depends on how long you want it to be. Okay, so the next thing we have to do, which is the final step actually, is to join both the top and the pants together. So make sure that the center front and the the center front of the pants and the top aligns together. Make sure that all the darts aligns as well. And after you are done, go ahead to fix your zipper and go ahead to hem the down part of the pants as well. I'm sorry if this video seems to be too fast. It's because I don't want it to get boring. I don't want it to get too long. Okay. So finally, this is what our jumpsuit looks like. I hope you try it out. And if you've learned one or two things from this sewing tutorial, kindly give me a giant thumbs up and let me know your view of this jumpsuit in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, kindly do that right now. Click on the subscription button and put on your notification bell as well so you can get notified whenever I post new content. And see you in my next one. Bye.